Hello, this is Crochet Basics with Jolie, and in this episode we're going to make this cute little baby owl. Super sweet. So what you need is acrylic yarn, two different colors, one for the bottom, one for the top, a little bit of a lighter color like a white, any crew, or a soft tan or something for the eye rounds. Beak is yellow, or a yellowish color or something to that effect. You need a yarn needle. I'm using an F hook. US sizes, of course, an F or a size 5, that's what it is. A yarn needle, if I didn't say that, a scissor, and the eyes are 6mm safety eyes. So if you don't want to use that, you can always use a bead or, embroider it. But this is really not for like a newborn or, an infant, any child of teething age. This is a choking hazard, so not for them. Okay, this is cute for an older child or a display item, what have you. So with all of that being said, oh, and you also need a piece of yarn in a contrasting color. I have black, maybe about 6 inches long, is perfect for us. And for my bottom, I'm going to use a hot pink. All right, so if you do a slip knot, if you're going to work it with me, if not, you can always pause and, go back and all that kind of thing. And you can always, if you don't crochet or any kind of thing, you can always check my Etsy's or my eBay for what I have available currently, what's going to be coming out and all of that. You can always check my Facebook or my Pinterest and that kind of thing. So with your bottom color, we're going to chain 2. And in that second chain from the hook, we're going to do 6 single crochets. And you'll crochet around your tail so that you can pull it nice and tight and it closes up that loop. And you're going to skip over your first chain. You're going to go into the first single crochet that you made, and you're going to do 2 single crochets. It's an increased row, so you'll do 2 single crochets in every stitch, so you'll have 12 single crochets. That's row 2, and here you're going to put your piece of yarn right in between your stitches, and with a little bit more hanging out in the front, the stitches that face you, so that later on we're going to feed that back in, and so it'll keep our place for us. Now for the next row, for row 3, we're going to do 2 single crochets in the first and 1 single crochet in the next. It's an increased row, and you'll just repeat that all the way around. 2 single crochets in the first, 1 single crochet in the next, and you should end up with 18 stitches. Next row, we're going to do another increase, so you'll do 2 single crochets in the first and 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches after that, and then you'll repeat that all the way around. So you should end up with 24 stitches. So looking good. Now at this point, you're going to use your yarn, your stitch marker, okay, our fancy dancy contrasting piece of yarn, and you'll feed it, you'll put it through. Now the reason why you're pushing it through to the back is so that later on when we're done with it, we'll just pull it right out through the front, no worries. Okay, so this is just to mark that there's no more increases, and from here up you'll just do a single crochet for the next 5 rows, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So for the next 6 rows is 1 single crochet, because we're on row 5. So this is 10 rows in, and 5 we increased, 4 we increased 4, and the rest we just worked single crochet. So now you could take out your yarn your stitch marker, you know, yarn, whatever. You don't need it at this point, okay? And for the bottom here, because we worked around the tail, you'd pull your tail tight and make a little tiny knot. It's not going to come out. I've never seen it come out because you worked all your stitches around it. So not really too big of a deal. I've never really seen it come out, whether it be a amigurumi or, you know, a hat or what have you. And if it's in your way, you know, you could snip that off. Not a big deal at this point. As always, not a big deal at this point, right? So here we'll do a color change so that we could start working on the head. And for a color change, if you don't know, or, you know, you would pull up a loop in the color that you're working in, the first part of your single crochet, and then you would pull through with the new color through your stitches. You'd pull all your tails, you know, nice and tight, all your what you were working with and what have you. So you don't really need a stitch marker because the color change will show from this point. So you don't really need a stitch marker. So you'll work the next 4 rows, the next 4 to 5 rows in this color, but don't end off. We're gonna work our eyes and stuff, and we'll put our eyes in before we finish working in this color. It just makes it way easier. Okay. So, and you can also, you know, snip off the bottom color you were using. You know, leave a little bit of weaving or what have you. A little bit of weaving, little end to hold your place. You don't want your yarn to fall out. So from here up, row 11 to say row 15, you'll just do 1 single crochet in the new color, the color of the head, all the way around. And you don't need your stitch marker because you'll just follow that. And also just make sure that you're working nice and tight. You know, you're pulling your stitches nice and tight so that you have a nice solid piece, so that the stuffing doesn't, you know, poke through or come through or any kind of thing like that. So I'm at row 15 here, and I'm not going to completely finish this row off just yet. What I'm going to do is pull, you know, my yarn so that I don't lose my place. And I'm going to get ready to make my eye rounds, okay? The little rounds that go around your safety eyes. So I'm using Heather, this is the names, what I got out here. So you can use white or, you know, a different color. It doesn't have to be this color. Size 4 is the same that we're using, and still in the F hook. So what you're going to do is you'll leave your first loop loose, and you'll chain 2, 1, 2, and then you'll do 6 single crochets, but don't tighten up that loop yet. You know, after you're done, don't do that. Leave it loose for a minute, okay? And I'm gonna snip off, you know, you'll leave a tail because we're gonna sew these on, but I want to leave it a little loose, and I want to push my safety eye through it to hold, you know, hold it in place. So I'm going to pull my tail a little tight, push my eye through, pull my tail, and you can do that by holding the eye, okay, just by holding, because it has the back to it, it has the post, and then you'll slip into the either the first chain or the first single crochet you made. And pull your tail through. So it's just a little precautionary, you know, holds the eye tight in place. And you'll do the same thing for your next eye. So you'll chain 2, and then you'll single crochet 6 single crochets and stick your eye in there. And then we'll get ready to put the eyes into our little owl here. So you'll take your little body here, okay, and you got 15 rows in, and your seam, this is not a back seam, this is a side seam, okay. It becomes the way I do this, it becomes invisible once you add the wing on. You know, it becomes very less noticeable and super cute, you know. Makes people wonder how you did it, kind of a thing. All right, so you'll turn it to the side, your seam here, where you did your color change, you'll turn it to the side, you'll count 1, 2, 3, and you'll push your eye in. And you want where the tail is, you want it to be on top. You don't want it on the bottom, but you want this, you know, to kind of match, you know, kind of be at that line. So, and with that, you'll, you know, you'll check your placement and what have you, and then you'll put your backs on as tight as you can possibly put them on, and you'll, I'm gonna show you anyway, so I don't know why I start talking. So silly. I'll tell you exactly what I'm gonna show you. All right, so I'm gonna snap my back piece in, and if you've never seen any of my other tutorials for the amigurumis, you know, the plushies, I use there we go. So that's on a little bit. It's not on all the way, and you want it on as snug, tight, what have you, as possible, because you don't want that eye to come out. You don't want it to fall out. And so I use a screwdriver. This adjusts from a Phillip to a flathead, and I put it on the back here. Move my camera so you can see. So I put it on the back, and then I have a tiny little hammer, and you always want to do this on a soft surface because you don't want to scratch your eye. If you don't have one of these adjustable screwdrivers, you can use a pair of pliers. I don't have one in front of me, but if this was a pair of pliers, you would put it like this, and then you would hit the pliers down onto it, just to make sure that it's as tight as it could possibly go on. All the ridges are fed through. See, so before I only had one ridge, and now I have 2 ridges. So it's pretty tight, and I'll give it another whack in just because, you know, I like to make sure I always like to make sure my work is as secure as possible. See? Now it's past that, and it's onto the 3rd ridge. That's how tight I got it on. And you want to, you know, try and get it as tight as possible. I don't necessarily have the strength in my hand to push through 2 layers of crochet for that. And also it hurts my fingers. So let me get my other one. And you'll leave a space. You'll follow it down, you know. So you'll count 1, 2, 3. You'll follow the row. And you don't want it too close, not too far. Kind of a thing. Oh, it's a little wide. Move it over a little closer here. Because as wide as it is, you know, that's how wide your beak is going to be. Because you're using your eyes to, you know, line up the top of your beak when we make the beak. We embroider it. It's like a little cockeyed here. Yeah. Totally was cockeyed. Okay, so you know, you just want to make sure that your second one is where you want it, where your first one is, your second one. All right, and you can do a little adjusting as you sew your eye round on, so it's not, you know, it's not too, as long as your pupils are lined up, you know, you're good. Your irises will be fine. You can adjust them as you sew. So you want to make sure that they're nice and tight in the back. They're not going to push through the front, you know. You don't want to worry about these kinds of things. It's it's silly, you know. So with your first string, you want to make sure that it's nice and tight. Your eyes are in place. The string, the tail that you started with, the one that goes around the eye, not the one you worked, you know, you crocheted with, not your ending tail. And you'll thread a needle and you'll push it through to the back. Now you can make a little knot, you know, if you like. What I did was I used this back tail. Usually I only use the ending tail, but I used my beginning tail to sew on also, so that I knew, you know, that I know or knew, what have you, that it was nice and secure. So you'll just go in and out, securing the eye round, trying not to hit your work. You know, that's why I left the row off at the end, halfway. I didn't finish this last row, this row 15, row 15, I didn't finish it off, so that, because it would have been right here, and I didn't want to chance hitting my work like I did in my last tutorial, because I'm fun like that. Alright, so you just sew around, back and forth. So you do this with both eyes. And when you do the next eye, you'll see, you know, if you need to try and pull it a little flatter, you know, pull this eye a little, you know, to make them as symmetrical as possible. So it's not so easy, it's crochet. So our eyes are sewn in. We didn't finish off just yet, you know, we still have our working yarn. We're still going to do a few more rows. But at this point, our eyes are sewn in, and let's make our beak. So yellow is perfect, because most beaks are yellow. So you don't really need too much, but you'll pull a length, and you'll thread a yarn needle with that. And skinned it. Alright, really skinned it. I keep on skinning it. Hopefully you don't do what I just did and skin it. But you'll what you're gonna do is going in from the back. If I can get a knot made, that would be fabulous. And remember, I know it's tricky to do this, you know, because we still have working yarn, we're still crocheting. So it's a little tricky, you know, to not hit your working yarn. And also putting in the eyes, you know, you're putting them so close, you know. So if you're, you know, if you work this after watching this, you can work another 2 rows, you know, if you're worried about hitting your working yarn and picking up your stitches after. Alright, so you'll thread a yarn needle, yellow thread, and going underneath, and just not to the very bottom of the eye, but a little bit outer to the eye, and you'll make a triangle. So what you'll do is you'll pull your yarn, you'll go across, you'll push through, approximately, you know, not all the way under the eye, but, you know, where your eye round is before your, you know, pupil starts. Okay, so you'll make a line across. It's a little big. All right, I'll live. It's a little big. And then you'll go down. You'll try and catch it straight through the middle of, you know, in between your eyes. And you'll go through that stitch. And you'll make a triangle, and what you're going to do is you're going to make a triangle, and then you're going to fill it in as you go. So it's a little easier said than done, because sometimes try as you might, it gets a little lumpy. You know, it doesn't come out perfect, but you'll try. Right? We'll try. And you don't want to go through, you know, you don't want to go through the same holes, the same stitches like 1,000 times trying to fill it in, because then that hole will get like super stretched. It just is, you want to try and avoid that. So you got your first line made, then you'll go under that. I hope the camera's picking this up. And you'll, you know, you'll be able to, you know, you don't want to yank too hard, but you do want to, you know, fill it in. You want as solid as possible across the beak. Just, you know, be mindful of your working yarn, you know, because we didn't finish crocheting up the head just yet. Just a side note or a tip, you want to make sure that you have good threads. Some acrylic yarns, you know, certain brands or what have you, when you're using them and you're sewing with them, they totally start to shred. They get super fuzzy, and they just kind of don't look right, you know. So by the time you get the beak done, it's not as crisp, you know, it's not as nice as you would like it. If you really don't like the way your beak came out, do not sit there and try and save the yarn and pull it like out, you know, like don't sit there and try and pull it. Just cut it, because if you don't, you'll mess up. If you try and like pull out the yarn to reuse it and like fix it, you'll just totally mess your stitches. Don't even think about that. Even just, you know, a little messed up, you know, it's always, you can always add more, you know, but don't try and save the yarn. Just take it as a loss and cut it. So not bad. So at this point I'm just gonna cut it off. Sorry, I'm not gonna cut it off. I'm gonna make a knot and then I'm gonna cut it off. So just to secure it, make sure it's nice and good. It's not gonna come out. Once you finish your beak, we'll finish the head. Keep your yarn needle close by, you're gonna need it. Alright, so let's finish the head. Here's my hook. Finish the head. So we did 15 rows, so you'll do another 5 rows of single crochet, and then you'll pull a tail for sewing. It doesn't have to be so ridiculously long, because, you know, this little owl, this guy's only about 3 inches tall. So you don't need too ridiculous of a tail, but you do need a little bit of length so that you could do the horns, the ears. And then after we finish the head, we'll work the wings, and the tail is optional. He does have a tail, and the reason he actually has a tail, or she, what have you, is because I did not do talons for this one. So because I didn't do talons, and it's rounded, they fall over. So just to keep them from falling over, since I didn't do talons, I said, you know what, let's give them a cute little tail, give them some balance there. All right, so from row 16 is what we're on. Well, we just finishing up 15. So row 16 to row 20, 1 single crochet in each stitch, and then you'll pull a tail. So this is my last row, row 20, and you're going to end off with a slip stitch. You'll follow your side up, and you'll just pull a slip and leave a tail for sewing, because we're going to sew our head. We're going to stuff our body and sew our head. It doesn't have to be too ridiculous of a tail. It's a very small item. But it's always better to have, you know, more than have to add in later. So we'll thread a yarn needle and we'll get our stuffing, and we'll stuff our body. Use a polyfill. It's a lightweight one. It has a lot of bounce back. Keeps it nice and fluffy, and you want to make sure with the eyes you get, you know, a lot of padding underneath the eyes and around the eyes, so that they're nice and cushioned. And you want, like, you know, to get it underneath here, so that the eyes aren't pushed down and they, you know, stay in place. So you don't have to stuff it all the way at this second, but you want to get it as full as possible, and you want to get it like close to the edge, but we're gonna push this down. You also want a good amount of stuffing, you know, between the safety eyes if you use the safety eyes like I did. So with my yarn needle and my tail, you're going to pinch the front to the back. So, pinched. And you'll have you know, before you finish this, you'll have a chance to add in a little extra stuffing. So you want to sew the front to the back, and you want to try and go through, you're sewing around, not back and forth, but around, and you want to try and go through each side of the braid, each stitch. Every 2 stitches you want to try and go through at least twice so that you know it's sealed. So you'll start sewing and you'll get to about here over the eye, and then we're going to go back and make our horns. Now I just added some extra stuffing in just to make, you know, so I don't have to go back in later. So what you would do with this, because it's so fluffy, I make up my own crazy words, is hold it down with your finger for your left hand, just for sewing, to keep it out of your way. We're about halfway here, and we're gonna go underneath and make our horn. So you'll go through the bottom of the sewed stitches you just did, and you'll come out the side. Okay, I hope you've seen it. I hope the camera's picking it up. So you'll come out the side, and right here you'll push it down and pinch it. And what you're going to do here is you're going to go through, so you want it to be level, a couple of stitches across, and you'll come out right to over the eye. And you'll go through the same stitches. You'll go through 2 or 3 times is good. It'll hold. So that's our first horn. And you'll go right back and try and get under your stitches. So you'll push it back straight through. Don't stab yourself. And you'll go right under your stitches and pull it out, and you'll continue sewing. So if you need to add more stuffing, you can do it now. So this is sewed straight through, and you'll see, here's my tail, and I'll squish it down to make it as even with the other one as possible, and then I'm gonna go down right through so I can go across and see. This is pretty much where I went in on the other side, and you don't want to pull too tight. You don't want to squish that seam in. You don't want to, you know, you want it to be like the other one. And you'll do the same exact thing. You'll push it down so that, you know, it's easier to handle. And you'll go around several times, right through the stitches, in and out of the same place. There you go, not bad. And at this point, you'll get your, you'll weave in. For the wings, in your F hook, you're going to chain 6. And you'll skip the first one from the chain, and you'll go back and you'll do a single crochet in each, so it's 5 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work, go back in, 1 single crochet in each, so 5 single crochets. From here, your last one, okay, so it was 2 rows of single crochet and a row of chain, what have you. So you'll chain 1, fold your wing in half, and you're going to go through your single crochet and your chain. So you'll fold it lengthwise, and you'll go through both and do a single crochet, and you'll do that for the whole row. So you're going through your single crochet and your chain space. It curves on its own when you do that. See? So that's the first one that I did. And it just curves, it just kind of curves on its own. It does its own thing there, which is perfect. And the curve, you'll pull a tail. Not that ridiculous of a tail. It doesn't have to be too long. It's a very small piece that you're sewing on. You'll weave in your first tail from where you started. You'll weave it right into the wing. So I'll show you how to do the first one. Maybe I'll show you how to do both. So this is our wing, and it's curved, and the curve goes to the back. Okay, curve goes to the back. Yeah, I think so. So for this, you'll follow your horn down, and you're going to sew right where your seam is, right where your color change is on the side, and you'll just go through a few times. And if you're me, you will try not to stab yourself repeatedly with the needle. After your wing is all sewn, you'll weave in, and then you'll work your next wing. And you'll repeat the same exact way. The curved part goes towards the back, and you'll sew it on right where the color changes. Got both of our wings sewn on, and the curve to the back on both sides, nice and level. And at this point we'll make the tail, because I told you this it stands up on soft surface, but if it was on a hard surface it would flop right over. So this is what this one looks like. It has a little, I guess almost like a shell stitch, but not really, type of a tail, and it's just for balance so that your owl stands up nice. So in the color you used for the bottom, so that your tail blends, and you'll just, I didn't measure it, I eyeballed it, so I went straight down and in between, you know, by your ear, and 1, 2, 3, 4, around your fourth or fifth row is where you attach. You'll go right underneath your stitches, you'll attach your yarn, chain 3, and you'll go right back into that stitch with a double crochet. And now the next stitch over, you'll do the same. You'll do double crochet. You know, if you can get 2 double crochets, it's a little hard, and you want to be careful not to hit your stuffing. You don't want your stuffing to fall out. So just you're just giving him a little balance. So you got your chaining counts as a double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And yeah, and you're good. And if you want to do a single or a slip, just because of you know, how you attached it, and you don't have to. Your choice. Of course, the last stitch I'm having an issue. Oh, golly. The very last one. I can't get it in. Come on. There we go. Okay. So you'll slip or single crochet, what have you, and you'll pull enough to weave in so that it's nothing hanging out. So you'll weave in all your ends at this point. You got your tail done, our little our little kickstand, so to speak, since he doesn't have you know, his feet. So I hope you like making this. Oh, and also after sewing and all of that, you know, you'll reshape, because what happens is you know, you squish it down to the side to get the wing on, or to, you know, get the ears, the horns, what have you, and even the tail, even weaving in the tail. So I hope you like watching this. Please subscribe, share, like the video, all that good stuff. I'm on Pinterest. If you want to buy finished product, I'm on eBay, Etsy's, and I'm on Facebook, all under pretty much the same name. Sometimes you know, the name's not available. So I hope you like making this cute little owl. He's about 3 inches tall from the bottom to the top of the ear. So this is Crochet Basics with Jolie. And I'll be back with more tutorials, so I hope you subscribe and, you know, follow me on Facebook and all that kind of thing. So, with that being said, as always, happy hooking, because it keeps you off the streets, you know, keeps you out of trouble. And I'll be back with another tutorial. So if you have any questions, please ask, and any comments, what have you. And I guess that's about it. Have a super duper great day. Be back soon. Bye.